Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside Winston Cup Racing. We're in Pocono, Pennsylvania at the Pocono International Raceway. On Friday, it was sort of a foggy day. In fact, there was not much going on the racetrack. They couldn't because the drivers would not have been able to see very far. We have a very special guest with us today on Inside Winston Cup Racing, former NASCAR Winston Cup champion Rusty Wallace, who drives the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. Welcome, and it's good to come in out of the fog into this beautiful Fleetwood motorhome.
You can't hardly see anything out there right now, Dad, and we're on hold because of the fog on the racetrack. You can't even see your hand in front of you, basically. Our guys were looking at the flag, and they couldn't even see the flagpole, so we're taking a break in our Fleetwood motorhome here right now, and that's about it.
Now, you sort of get used to these. You have one of these personally that you use all year long.
I sure do. I have a Pace Aero by Fleetwood, and we love it. We spend a lot of time at the racetrack in it, do a lot of team meetings in it, travel in it, so I enjoy it a lot.
Well, we have a lot for you in this half hour of Inside Winston Cup Racing, so stay with us.
Pole sitter Davey Allison was turning the Miller Genuine Draft 500 into a rout, but on lap 150, contact between Davey and Darrell Waltrip sent Allison sailing out of control. He ended up in the hospital, and ironically, Waltrip went on to win the race. Highlights from Pocono coming up. The race to produce horsepower by both Ford and General Motors has finally come to a head. Beginning July 31st, each will be required to utilize a particular cylinder head that they've submitted to NASCAR. We'll take a look inside the cylinder head issue.
Inside Winston Cup Racing is brought to you by cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft and Miller Genuine Draft Light, taking the country by storm. And by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car.
Miller Genuine Draft, Bobby Ray Hall, IndyCar. This year is ready flying.
Last year, Davey Allison added something new to his car. It wasn't wider tires or a slicker shape. It was the same Haviland Formula 3 motor oil you can buy, straight off the shelf, to add more life to your car with complete protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. Now, we're not saying it was Haviland Formula 3 that gave Davey the energy to lead more major NASCAR races than anyone last year and win this year's Daytona 500. But we're not saying it wasn't.
What does a high-speed turn at Daytona have to do with a left turn on Elm Street? At Ford, we race more to learn more about things like safety, because there's nothing like hugging a wall at 200 miles an hour to learn how to improve crosswind stability, or racing in a crowd to learn about safer, more responsive handling. And what we learn in this rush hour traffic, you can use in yours. Have you driven a Ford lately?
Tucked away in the rolling hills of Stanwood, Michigan, one of the most impressive hunting camps exists, the Sanctuary. This week on the Buckmaster's Whitetail Magazine, join host Jackie Bushman as he bow hunts and rifle hunts this prime deer habitat. Only on the Buckmaster's Whitetail Magazine.
The Buckmasters, 1:30 Eastern, 12:30 Central, Sports Sundays on TNN.
All day, all night. All music. CMT. Country Music Television. All right.
Our guest, Rusty Wallace, is the defending champion of the Miller Genuine Draft 500 here at the Pocono International Raceway. And on Friday, Rusty, have this fog out here. Won't get as much practice. How will that affect you?
Well, I think it'll affect the cars a little bit because there's been a lot of guys make some major changes in their chassis. There's been guys bring different cars up here counting on practice. So if indeed we don't get any practice on the first day, which it looks pretty bad right now, they'll get minimum practice on Saturday, and it'll just take a little bit of practice time away. And there might be a chance we have to start on points up here. We'll have to see.
Let's talk a little bit about your team. There's been some rumblings going on here lately about maybe some personnel changes within the organization.
Well, I hate personnel changes because we've had 2 or 3 of them so far since we started the team in '91, and every time you got to make a personnel change, you end up getting tripped, and you got to spend more time getting going again. But they had a big rumor in the Charlotte one of the Charlotte television stations that Eddie wasn't going to be the crew chief, that another fellow was going to take over crew chief duties, and that was not true. What was happening is Jay Smith, our chassis man, he resigned a couple weeks ago and gave me a couple week notice because he wants to go back driving. He wants to be a race driver himself, and he felt as many hours he was putting in that he just wouldn't have had time to do that. So he decided to do that. He went to work for Ernie Irvin's Busch Grand National team. It only runs a limited basis just to stay going and making a little money, plus to learn a little something about the Grand National cars. So he did that, which that was no problem, and Jay was a good guy with me. But when that happened, I figured, well, since we've got to make that replacement, we better go for a good veteran, somebody smart that can come on board, that can that knows what he's doing, and somebody that can help Eddie also. Maybe both of them can really work together. But when that happened, automatically everybody thought that Mr. Dickerson was being replaced, and that wasn't the truth, and it just went crazy, and I've been spending all my time up here trying to put all those fires out. But Eddie and I are great friends, and I don't think we're ever going to have a problem, to tell you the truth. Although when that happened, I was out of town, and Eddie thought he was under problems, and he started looking for a job too, I think. So I'm in the midst of getting him right, and we're all reassuring each other that we're fine. And the team's up here at Pocono right now. This is the Miller race. We did win it last time. I brought 17 people up for this event. I want to have all my ammunition armed and ready to go for this event. And the car's in great shape, so it was just a rumor then, and we're back up here to race and try to win this race.
When you start looking for a chassis man, there are not that many good people around, the kind that you would want. It's tough to find.
It is tough to find because I want a hard-working guy that kind of thinks the way I do, and I like really getting involved in the thing. If I just had to trust totally in what somebody else wants to do, I don't think it'd be a real good marriage, because I've been doing this for a long time, and I know the way the car feels, and I want a guy that... I'm basically looking for a guy that wants to come in and work real hard and win a lot of races and not care a lot about what other people think. I just want him to come in and win and really work hard and be a guy that's going to be with me for a long time. But those guys are hard to find sometimes, and the thing that's real hard to find is the real good experience. I had good experience in Jimmy Maycar, and Jay came along as an apprentice to Jimmy, and when Jimmy left, it kind of left Jay sitting there, and so when Jimmy left, I fell down a little bit. I started coming back up with Jay. When Jay left, now it's coming back up again, so it's a tough deal.
How tough is it on Rusty Wallace, being the competitive individual that you are and want to run up front, want to win every race that you're in, and haven't been able to so far this year?
It's tough. My hair's starting to get back like yours is now, you know. And you're a little older than I am. It's understandable for you, but for me, Ned, I'm not supposed to be losing hair right now.
Yeah, but I went through all of that too.
Did you
remember?
Really?
Yeah.
But it is tough. You know, I've won 21 races in a Winston Cup championship, an IROC championship, and stuff like that. So, yeah, I got confidence in myself as a driver. And then when you have problems like this, it is a big concern. But just like Penske called me the other day, calls every day, you know, wanting the best for the team, telling us, reassuring me, hey, stay cool, man. I want to give you everything it takes to win. And I know that, but I'm real hyperactive. I always want to go. I'm not in the mood for waiting much. So when things start dragging along, I want to go, come on, let's go, you know. And it gets frustrating sometimes.
Any regrets about getting involved as a part owner of a team?
Not at all. I love it. And me being part owner of the team hasn't affected anything that has happened. Or it might affect a little bit. You know, sometimes people don't like me getting involved as much as I do. And but I promise I'll back off a little bit once I get people that I really can say, hey, Rusty, get out of here. Let us handle this. And I go, okay, I'll feel comfortable and I'll get back, you know. But I just like the nuts and bolts of things. I like getting in there. My SA cars, I was always involved in them. I just love motorsports and I love the cars. And I feel like I'm pretty loyal to my people when the people are loyal to me.
Well, Rusty, we need to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the cylinder heads that will become mandatory in NASCAR very shortly in Winston Cup racing. And as we leave you for this break, here's how you can save some money on a Fleetwood motorhome.
If you'd like to receive a $500 discount coupon good toward the purchase of any 1992 or earlier model Fleetwood, call 1-800-727-2900.
Here we go again, guys. Wow, I feel good. Yeah, this guy really gets around. He's got the auto lights. American Orient Paul, we're guaranteed. I feel good. Yeah, 2 years no matter how far he goes. That's why we've been everywhere. Vegas. I feel good. Yeah. Daytona. I would now. LA. Wherever we're going. The Superman, yeah. And we're not even tired. Wow.
Racing. I can't explain it.
you're kind of in a limbo zone. Time's different, speed's different, everything works different. It sounds totally cosmic. It's out there somewhere.
Kyle Petty and Mellow Yellow. There's nothing mellow about them.
Get starstruck.
Lucky moon, stay out tonight. Sunlight, stay away. When you get to the heart, I'm just a country boy at heart.
Country's biggest stars and brightest newcomers shine on the Statler Brothers Show. Saturday nights at 9, 8 Central on TNN, the Nashville Network.
I wonder if I'm bound upon a rescue. When a poor baby drives south.
Hot-blooded music from country sizzler Hal Ketchum and super rocker John Hyde.
Lose myself and all I own to find the shore of love. I'm just spending all my time making Tennessee play.
The American Music Shop tonight at 10 Eastern on TNN. Today, live on TNN Motorsports, as the summer heats up, tempers flare. The asphalt crumbles, but the race must go on. In a season of sizzling action, TNN's adding more fuel to the fire. For the first time, the Busch Grand Nationals are tackling the fastest track in NASCAR history. And from the get-go, it'll be the race to see. Live from Talladega, Busch Grand Nationals Fram Filters 500K. Today, 2 p.m. Eastern, live only on TNN Motorsports.
We got a series coming up, or a segment coming up on the cylinder heads, which will be mandatory by NASCAR. What are your feelings now? Are the new GM heads working?
The GM heads started out to be really bad. They weren't real good, the first versions of them, and then they got better and better. And to be quite honest, the new the new GM 18-degree head now is better than the old Pontiac head. It's accelerating as good, and it's making much more horsepower. And so now the GM head's the way to go, and with only a couple weeks, or I guess about a month or something before the new rule comes into effect, basically all the teams have abandoned the Pontiac head now and went to the new GM head. And it's really making good power, and we don't have any regrets, and still we're currently working on it to get it better and better, because the Ford is a pretty good head still, and the GM guys are trying to get better yet.
Of course, they become mandatory after the race this weekend at Talladega. August the 1st is the date that NASCAR says you got to use the 18-degree cylinder heads on the GM cars. Ford, of course, has to use the cylinder heads that have been mandated for them as well. Well, we talked to some of the people in the garage area about the changeover to those heads and what it has meant to them, and that is the subject this week of an extended Haviland Track Talk.
This edition of Track Talk is brought to you by Haviland. Add more life to your car.
Horsepower is perhaps the most precious commodity of the cars that wind their way around the tracks on the Winston Cup circuit. And over the past year, the horsepower that has helped the Ford Motor Company come to the forefront of the sport has been the constant conversation among the car owners, the crews, and the NASCAR brass. The big issue behind the scene has to do with cylinder heads. On July 31st, NASCAR mandates that all General Motors products must run the 18-degree Chevrolet cylinder heads, which they developed and submitted. And Ford must run the head developed by Yates Racing, which was submitted by Ford. NASCAR's mandate was made to help control the cost that teams were incurring while developing horsepower through cylinder heads.
It's not really a NASCAR problem to say which engineering group made the best product. We just said, okay, you submitted this head after July 31st. This is the only cylinder head you can run.
The previous heads being used by General Motors teams were produced by Pontiac. And now, after 4 different drafts of the Chevy head, there is now one piece that will be producing horsepower for all the General Motors products. How has the head helped or hurt the General Motors teams? Well, it depends on who you talk to.
Naturally, we had to buy, you have to use different pistons because it has a different combustion chamber shape, and we got to use different manifolds, and of course we had to buy the Chevrolet heads. Right now we're not realizing any savings, but we will, because we're not allowed to weld on them or move any valves or anything, and it will eventually save a lot of money.
I'm a small team, and I don't have a major sponsor. I have different sponsors that have helped me this year from race to race. It's a costly deal switching all these cylinder heads. I mean, it's not just the head. I understand the head's holding up good now, and it's making good horsepower, and it would be an advantage to probably have them on. But I have a cost factor that I have to look at, and I had one set done by a guy, which we don't have on an engine yet. You're looking at $7,300, and that wasn't using the good intake manifold. From my standpoint, I have been trying to run the cylinder heads that I have had on engines that are all together just to try and make ends meet and stay in business.
For any team that is trying to compete without major sponsorship funding, competing on the Winston Cup circuit can be an uphill battle. But for the teams that have the dollars, the standardization of cylinder heads still leaves the potential for increased horsepower and reliability, the cornerstone of Winston Cup competition.
That certainly is. I mean, airflow is as tricky as aerodynamics on the car. I mean, there's still 20 or 30 horsepower that you can't physically see, and you just continue to work with it. And, we have hopes of, getting way past this 2 horsepower per cubic inch, but at least we've eliminated a lot of, do you have to move this or that around, and it's reduced our costs. But our playing ground is narrowed up somewhat, but that's just an effort to keep good racing, good close racing.
It's been the thought of many that the General Motors teams on the Winston Cup circuit are lacking the power developed by the new head to compete against the Ford, but over time, the potential is there that things will even out.
It's been a lot of work, and I think a lot of people didn't want to do it while they bought it so much, but the heads are starting to come around now. We had to learn we have to use different cams with them. We had to learn to do different things with the engine to make these heads work, but they're coming around now, and I think they'll be all right in a few more months.
We're better off than we were, and I don't think we've got to the bottom of the deal yet, so I feel like it's a step in the right direction.
Well, I'm sure the cylinder heads is something that'll be talked about for a long time. Rusty, we really appreciate you taking time out to come over and chat with us here today. It looks like the fog is beginning to lift a little bit, and know that you need to get back over there to your race car. How much of a problem was it? Was that the reason Ford was winning so many races in the first part of the year, the changeover for the GM cars with the cylinder heads?
I think some of the template rules and definitely the cylinder head rules kept the General Motors cars back from winning early. Now they're back up in pretty good form right now, but it was a real costly venture. Our team is close to $500,000 in cylinder head development right now, and it's still climbing, so it's something we still need to get under control.
Wow. Well, thanks again for coming by. Go out there and win this race. We need to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have highlights of the Miller Genuine Draft 500 and see if Rusty did win.
Oh! Where Davey flipped, it's demolished. There, it was bad. Okay, Davey? Davey, you okay? Guess who just got back today? Them wild-eyed boys that had been away. Boys are back in town, boys are back in town.
The Miller Genuine Draft Rusty Wallace stock car is back in town. So you better hold on.
Spread the word around. Guess who's back in town?
In America, your car doesn't just get you from here to there. It's a part of your life. To give your car complete protection, Texaco has developed Haviland Formula 3 motor oil. With not one, but 3 kinds of protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
All of these championship-winning drivers have one thing in common: Goodyear Racing Eagles. The race-winning technology that's found in the Goodyear Racing Eagles can also be found in the world's best-selling line of high-performance street tires, Goodyear Eagle Street Radials. The champions know, and it's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
Here's the real beauty of Rust-Oleum protective coatings. A tough barrier against the elements. Rust-Oleum, the name that means protection.
This week on Crook and Chase, a Music City celebration for Billy Ray Cyrus.
Plus, George Jones and Conway Twitty join us via Starcatcher. It's all this week.
Crook and Chase, a full hour live weeknights on TNN.
Won't believe the things the heart could tell of mine.
Clint Black.
Oh, how I wish Alice was in
Alan Jackson, August 3rd. Feel the heat. A hot August night on TNN.
Next week on Inside Winston Cup Racing, we'll have highlights from the Die Hard 500 in Talladega, the final restrictor plate race of the season. And the Busch Grand National Tour hits the sister track to Daytona when they tackle Talladega for the first time ever. We'll have highlights from the Fram Filters 500K. All that and much more on IWCR next week.
The Pocono International Raceway is a unique track. It only has 3 turns, is 2.5 miles in length, and each turn is distinctively different, which presents a real challenge for the drivers and the teams in setting a car up to get around here at maximum speeds, but they always seem to do it. Well, despite the fog on Friday here, the Miller Genuine Draft 500 was run. Randy Pemberton has the highlights.
After spending 2 days in the hospital nursing the flu, pole sitter Davey Allison immediately pulled out to a healthy lead over the other 40 cars in the field as he chased his 5th Winston Cup win of the year and tried to pad his points lead over Bill Elliott, who for the most part was back in the pack all afternoon. After the first round of green flag stops, Allison picked up where he left off, stretching his lead over cars like Alan Kowicki, Sterling Marlin, Mark Martin, and the lone GM products of Kyle Petty, Ernie Irvin, and Ricky Rudd, although Ernie would hit the garage area on lap 74 with a broken valve. With green flag racing the order of the day through the first half of the 200-lap contest, Allison gave up the lead only during scheduled pit stops. On his 3rd green flag stop on lap 95, he handed the lead to the Hooters Ford of Alan Kowicki, who collected the Gillette halfway money. Kowicki would go on to pace the pack for 58 of the race's 200 circuits. Only 3 yellow flags flew the entire afternoon, the first for debris on the racetrack on lap 118. It was under this caution that they went under the hood of Sterling Marlin's machine. He survived engine problems to finish 11th. Wally Dallenbach brought out caution number 2 after brushing the wall in turn 2 with 53 laps remaining. After a slow pit stop by Allison, he would suffer his worst track position of the day. 2 laps after going green, Davey's dominating day, which would have him leading 115 of the 150 laps he was on the track, it came to a crashing end between turns 2 and 3. Slight contact between Darrell Waltrip and Davey sent the Haviland Ford out of control in what was possibly the worst wreck of the Winston Cup season. With Allison's car destroyed and his championship hopes dashed, Davey was airlifted to a nearby hospital where he was diagnosed with numerous injuries, including a broken right arm that needed surgery. 1 lap before going green, Darrell Waltrip and Harry Gant hit pit road for fresh rubber and fuel, both hoping they would run the remaining 41 laps without pitting. And by lap 189, leader Alan Kowicki and all the other front runners had made their final pit stops. That gave the lead to Waltrip. Gant would chase Darrell the final 12 laps, but Darrell would hold on for his 82nd career win. Kowicki would finish 3rd, followed by Ricky Rudd and a surprising Ted Musgrave.
Jeff said, DW, I don't know if you can make it or not. I mean, he was just, he's being honest with me. And I guess what helped us the most was being able to get behind Rusty there for those few laps, draft him, and then I just had enough to make it. And that's, that's all there was to it.
Today's mailbox is brought to you by Miller Genuine Draft.
And our question today is from our voicemail box. It comes from Mike Chappell of Sop Choppy, Florida.
I have noticed on several Winston Cup cars and IROC cars a small piece of tape in the center of the steering wheel, and I understand race cars fairly well, but I would like to know the purpose of that piece of tape.
Mike, thanks for calling in with your question. The answer is relatively simple. It's an aid to the driver, which enables him to keep the front tires of the car straight while a pit stop's going on. The clearance to the wheel wells on the front end of these race cars are so tight that if the wheels aren't straight, it's virtually impossible for us to change the tires. So when the driver comes into the pits, irregardless of where he stopped with the wheel, then he just turns the steering wheel around, the tape straight up and down, and he knows himself that the wheels are straight so that the pit stop can proceed along, and he can go ahead and get him a cold towel for his neck and a drink of water.
If you have any race questions or would like to hear Winston Cup qualifying results, race results, or point standings, call us at 1-900-73-RACES. Charge is $1 per minute. Average call 2 minutes for mailbox or 3 minutes for results. Fans 18 and under get your parents' permission before calling. If we use your question on the air, you'll receive this embroidered Miller Genuine Draft jacket free. You'll also receive a free copy of NASCAR videos, A Week in the Life of a Race Team. The latest volume in the exciting series, bringing the NASCAR lifestyle roaring into your living room.
Last week we started our new series, The Champions, profiling the 9 men who have won the Winston Cup Championship since Winston became involved in 1972, and now they're celebrating their 20th anniversary. As a result, R.J. Reynolds has authorized an official limited edition collector series of numbered print and coin sets. These are available at a discount for Inside Winston Cup Racing viewers. Details on how to get your set started are coming up. Well, our time's up for today. Our thanks to Rusty Wallace for joining us, and we'll see you right here on TNN next week.
Inside Winston Cup Racing has been brought to you by coal-filtered Miller Genuine Draft and Miller Genuine Draft Light, taking the country by storm. And by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. Transportation for the Inside Winston Cup Racing crew provided by Fleetwood Enterprises, makers of a full line of excellent recreational vehicles. Clothing for the Inside Winston Cup Racing crew provided by Simpson Race Products, where innovation never stops. Promotional consideration and a fee paid for by the Champions Press, creators of the finest collectibles in the history of Winston Cup. And by NASCAR Video, taking you behind the scenes to meet the top drivers and personalities in the sport. Get your first volume featuring A Week in the Life of a Race Team. Order today.
Motorsports Hall of Fame induction today on TNN.
You're watching TNN, the Nashville Network.